Immediately. Stroke of the pen, no jobs.
Mr Speaker.
Dr Megan Woods.
Mr Speaker, there can be no surer sign that you have a lame duck and incompetent government opposite when what we can discuss in this House is governed by what is currently before the courts. We have a Minister of Education that can't and won't answer questions on her failure to run a real process around the closure and merger of schools. We now have Nick Smith taking about 20 minutes out of this general debate, trying to shut down discussion about the fact that
Order. Member can't refer to points of order that have actually been addressed.
We now are limited in what we can discuss about the fact there is a minister that is facing charges in a court about his conduct around electoral fraud. So we have ministers from this government all over the place. One is up the river in a cabbage boat, but the one that I want to talk about today and continue on that transport theme is the one that is being a significant roadblock in the recovery of Christchurch. 8 months ago, Jerry Brownlee, the Minister of Earthquake Recovery and Transport Minister, I'll add, went out and promised that we would have a workable transport strategy for the recovery of the central city of Christchurch. This was, according to Minister Brownlee, going to be an important milestone in the recovery of Christchurch. Well, Minister, we're still waiting. Your milestone is nothing but a millstone. You haven't delivered it. In November of last year, you released much fanfare a transport strategy for discussion. People duly submitted, as they do when there's a plan out, and in February that all came back. Minister Brownlee was to have taken that to Cabinet in March or April of this year. He hasn't done it. And let's go through the timeline. In June, the 27th of June, the Minister announced the cost-sharing arrangement for this transport strategy with the Christchurch City Council. There was money already allocated in Budget 2013 for the Crown's share of getting the transport system in Christchurch right. On the 1st of July, Brownlee's office received advice from Sarah, from the Earthquake Recovery Authority, that they needed to crack on with this, that what they were doing was slowing down the recovery of Christchurch. Minister Brownlee received a briefing that showed that the approval of the transport plan is now urgently required to enable commissioning of key works needed to support the early delivery of the anchor projects in the central city. Was this enough to spur Minister Brownlee into action? No, it certainly wasn't, because Minister Brownlee, despite advice on the 1st of July that he needed to crack on with things, still has yet to take that paper to Cabinet. Meanwhile, Christchurch's recovery and Canterbury's recovery significantly stalled. And what have we had from the Minister now? Well, the Minister hopes. He hopes to sign this off by Christmas. So imagine this, it's 4 p.m. on Christmas Eve and Jerry Brownlee is frantically running around trying to deliver the last of his Christmas presents on his lists. I know, he thinks, ho, 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 thank you, Mr. Shearer, a workable transport system for the Christchurch Central City is perhaps something I should deliver on. I've been promising it for quite some time now, but I can't bring myself to wrap it and let it go. Well, Minister Brownlee, Christchurch's recovery is being slowed down by your failure to deliver this paper and to deliver this plan. You've got the paper sitting there. Why isn't you have it, Mr. Speaker? The Minister has the paper sitting there. It needs to be signed off. We cannot afford to have the kind of slowing down in Christchurch, both figuratively and literally, that the Minister's failure to act on this is delivering. An approved transport plan at the centre of our city is not a nice to have. It is fundamental to our recovery as a city and as a province. His own officials are telling him that it is urgent. His own officials are telling him to crack on with it, to get on with it and not allow the slowdown. Every person that drives around Christchurch knows we have a broken transport system. Minister Brownlee needs to deliver.
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, there must be hundreds of Labor voters across the country